Canucks fans like to joke around about how bad their players are. And once in a while, it's very well justified. The past few years have seen some terrible plays made out of guys that are some of the top on the payroll. In particular, today we are talking about Tyler Myers, and we are also talking about Oliver Ekman-Larsson, two guys who are signed on for a boatload of money and who have been very, very bad. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I could say, oh, they make some good plays once in a while. OEL is good at getting his shots through. Tyler Myers puts on the Jets once in a blue moon. But at the end of the day, these guys are pretty bad hockey players, especially when you take a look at the dollar amount. Sure, if Oliver Ekman-Larsson was making $1 million, he might be okay. He might be passable. Tyler Myers, you could say the same thing. But Tyler Myers is making $6 million against the Vancouver Canucks cap. Oliver Ekman-Larsson has a total AAV of 8-point-something million with salary retained from Arizona, so he's making 7-point-something million against the Canucks cap. He is one of the most expensive players the Vancouver Canucks have ever signed per season in their history. Sure, there are guys that challenge that, like Hughes and Petey and JT to be soon, but Oliver Ekman-Larsson is right up there, and he is amongst the top. Now, when it comes to these two players, we actually had ourselves a graph posted by the folks over at moneypuck.com on Twitter. Take a look at this. The worst defensive pairings in the NHL this season. The highest goals against per 60 minutes played together at 300 minutes minimum. Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers is the number one worst pairing in the entire National Hockey League when it comes to goals against per 60 minutes. And it gets kind of worse when you look at the goals for per 60 minutes, because at least some of these pairings down there, like, for example, Owen Power, Yoki Haru, they have 3.47 goals for per 60 minutes. You've got other ones that outclass Myers and OEL's numbers right here. Heck, even the second-place pairing of worst defensive pairing in goals against per 60 has a higher goals for per 60 than Myers and OEL. Caden Cooley, David Savard, these two guys are primarily noted as defensive guys. This pairing, just in general, is the worst pairing in the league. And it's unfortunate, but that's kind of how the cookie crumbles. Maybe because this pairing hasn't been a thing the past little while, because some of these guys have not been playing. Maybe that's why the Canucks have started to win themselves games. Who really knows? Obviously, best wishes go to OEL and his health, but it's been one of the meme pairings. And I say, yeah, meme pairings. This has been a meme. We have been memeing about this for the past few years. Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers together making a combined $13 million of salary cap AAV space on the Canucks payroll, being as bad as they have been. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is getting paid like an offensive defenseman who's got extreme number one D-man potential, and sure, he was that in the past when the contract was signed. Heck, you could even debate that when the contract was signed, he was already on his decline. But he got paid because of the resume of work he had done before with Arizona, where he was a top defenseman. But unfortunately, he's just not that now. He's slow. He can get his shots through. Yes, we know that. But in his own zone, he is not great. On the breakouts, he is not great. He is not really worth that money in any respect. And I see a lot of similarities between Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Alex Edler, especially towards the end of Edler's tenure. Edler was good for Vancouver, by the way. Like, he was very good, especially when he made his debut. But as he got older, he got slower, he got less effective. Sure, he could box guys out and play a pretty solid defensive game, but OEL just can't really do that to the same magnitude, and it's kind of frustrating. Meanwhile, on the other side, you've got Tyler Myers, who is the master of sprawling out on the ice whenever there's an odd man rush against. He always does that. That is his signature move. Just get a saucer pass over the guy's stick, and you have the cross crease at your disposal. We've seen that play done by Myers multiple times over the past few years, but I'm going to be real, I don't think I've ever seen it actually work. Like, if anybody can bring up a certain point in any some game over the past few years where Tyler Myers sprawls out to block a cross crease on an odd man rush and it actually works, then hey, I'll give you cookies for that. But I don't really remember anything of that actually working over the past few years because it's just not a good move. The guy goes out there and sprawls himself out spread eagle style, and sure, you could say he's 6'7", so it's a good idea to block off as much surface area as you can because and because you're big. But it never works. Plus, Myers in his own zone has so many pylon moments where he just loses track of the puck, where it cycles around him, where he completely loses his check, and only once in a while does he actually get the feet moving to the point where it's like, oh, look at him charge. Look at him doing what it is that a 6'7" human being can do, and only a 6'7" human being can do. The only attribute to him being 6'7" is the fact that he is 6'7". He doesn't actually play a speck of hockey that indicates that he is that size, aside from the sprawling out on the odd man rushes. In the offensive zone, the play usually dies on his stick. He'll dump it in, he'll send it over to the opposition, whatever. Part of me is sort of mind blown when I say that Myers won the Calder Trophy back when he was a rookie and he had a whole bunch of points. Like, where did that go? What happened in that season's worth of play to get him producing all that much? Was he just a power play quarterback? Is that what happened? Was he just firing pucks on goal? Because he doesn't do that much nowadays. Heck, you can change these sort of habits as you get older for sure. Luke Schenn is a prime example of that. The guy started putting pucks towards the goal this season, and as a result, he produced a lot more points. Rebound chances, tip-in chances for the guys in front, goals straight up. Luke Schenn is a great example of a guy who actually thinks about what he's doing and who is capable at making things work. Tyler Myers just doesn't really do that all too often anymore. And so, when you have Myers and OEL, two guys that are not great defensively playing together, making $13 million of AAV salary cap space combined, you get yourself stats like these, where they are the worst pairing in the NHL when it comes to goals against per 60 minutes. Every 60 minutes of time on ice this pairing has, you have 3-point-something goals against, and it's the worst in the NHL. Like, all these other guys are not really as prominent of names or as old or as expensive as Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers. Caden Gooley's a rookie for crying out loud. Mata Osterley, okay, that's not really the most important pairing in the league. Benoit Shattenkirk, okay, you could say Shattenkirk's a lot older, but also this is on the Anaheim Ducks. Sherrod Sider is still a young guy. Torrey Krug, Justin Falk, these guys at least get a whole bunch more goals, and I'll say that Torrey Krug had himself better days. Same could be said about Justin Falk. There are some other pairings here that make a little bit more sense, like, okay, Broberg and Bouchard. Like, that one, I mean, they're both very young players, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. Same thing could be said about Owen Power, Yoki Haru, as we had talked about, but at least there are a lot of goals coming from that pairing. Miller Trouba is an interesting one because both of those guys can contribute offensively, but at the end of the day, for Myers and OEL, this one's a pretty bad one, and they've had a whole bunch of minutes together. It's not great. Their goal percentage is only 37.2%, meaning that the goal share is really, really bad. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers being dubbed the worst pairing in the NHL for this season. Are you surprised by that? Because for me personally, I'm sort of, okay, maybe a little bit surprised because sure, we have the reputation of these guys being bad and being as bad as they are in Vancouver, but to see that they're legitimately the worst in the NHL, that's kind of surprising. Like, sure, when you say it like that, oh, they're the worst pairing in the NHL, it's like, okay, yeah, I totally agree. But then when you see the numbers where it's like, yeah, no, they actually are, it's like, oh, damn. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.